Good evening, everyone. Greetings, President Lujan and trustees, cabinet members, and Dr. Moore. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to share my report on the state of technology in our district so far. For some perspective, here's a map of our district. We have 16 schools across 3 cities, 21 sites in all. There are 6 technicians, but 2 positions are still open, 1 systems administrator position, which is also open, and 1 office coordinator to support all of our technology needs. Our work supports Goal 1 since it directly helps student academic achievement and online teaching and learning, but also strongly supports Goals 2 and 3. Here's our agenda. I'll give an update on the state of technology in our district and provide some background on the need behind our current projects, and I'll share the status of those projects as well as our response to the pandemic. Then, looking forward, I'll share some of the challenges my department faces and some possible solutions. Background. I'll talk about our network infrastructure upgrade project and how it came about, why we established technology standards and made a shift to industry standard best practices, and what we're doing to fight spam and ransomware and why it's important to do so, what we've done to improve tech support for our staff, students, and families, and our response to the pandemic. One of the most frequent complaints I received when I joined our team a year and 9 months ago was how poorly our network performed, especially during times of high activity. Websites would load slowly and the network would go down at the worst times. We enlisted the help of a consultant to survey our network infrastructure, and they recommended completely replacing all of the components of our network. After presenting the results of this survey at a board meeting around this time last year, we were able to move forward with this massive project thanks to your support. Here are a couple of my favorite pictures showing the lack of workmanship on previous installations and the lack of network security where a server has been placed in an open workroom area. Most of the servers at our schools are installed in a similar fashion. Our old network couldn't handle the load of the number of devices we had even last year. We also had so many different types of devices, both old and new. Our technicians were being asked to support so many different variations of devices, and we didn't have specific district technology hardware standards. Here you can see 2 similar looking laptops, but they have vastly different costs and capabilities. Software that might work well with one might not work well with the other. And around this time, we started discussing going one-to-one, having a district device for every student. We established clear standards and published them so that anyone can view them and know what the IT department can support. Standard hardware allows our techs to quickly repair or replace technology, minimizing downtime. Since the hardware is the same, we can maintain a smaller inventory of parts and even buy them in bulk to save costs. This also streamlines so many other things like purchasing, training, documentation, and troubleshooting. Spam and ransomware have been constant annoyances in our daily email life. But recently, these annoyances have become major issues for many school districts because we are becoming more of a target. Malactors have been using spam and ransomware as a way to gain illegal access to our systems and data to either extort money by holding our data hostage or trick staff into sending them money. The IT department has a small team but provides direct support to district staff. Again, with your support, we were able to add 2 more support technician positions and 1 systems administrator position. So now we've got our work cut out for us if we want to make improvements. We organize this work into 3 main areas of focus: user databases and server environment. These systems contain user databases and critical education and business-related data that our district relies on for its daily technology-related functions. Linked systems use these databases for various things like computer logins, data lookups, and more. It's really important for these user databases to be as up-to-date as possible and for the data to be as clean as possible. Otherwise, any system that you link to them may not work as well as we need them to. There's a concept in computer science called garbage in, garbage out. Many of these databases have not been managed or maintained with industry best practices in mind. A few months ago, I reported that while cleaning up our primary user database, there were 569 accounts that should no longer have been active. We've been working to clean and reorganize these databases and build a server environment that follows industry standards and best practices so that linked systems can perform as well as possible and allow us to streamline account management by using automation. Improving these systems is a step we've also taken as part of our response to ransomware attacks. When this project is done, we will upgrade the server hardware at our elementary schools and then work on the secondary schools. Network infrastructure. We realized that improving our network needed to be a part of our plan because of the increasing reliance on the internet and other network-connected resources. Around this time last year, you authorized us to move forward with our network infrastructure project. This project consists of three parts. Part one, structured cabling, the cabling inside walls and between buildings connecting devices to the internet. This is the foundation of our network. All network devices use this cabling, so it is critical that this part of the network be designed and built to industry standards. Even wireless networks need this physical cabling because wireless access points need to be physically connected to network switches. So far, our cabling contractor has pulled over 550,000 feet, which is over 100 miles of copper cabling, and over 32,000 feet, which is around 6 miles of fiber optic cabling. Part two, network electronics, the network switches that the structured cabling is plugged into. This part of the network directs traffic back and forth to the right device, printer, server, or out to the internet. Our network electronics contractor will have installed 94 switches by mid-May. One thing to note is that we're doing everything possible to remove this equipment from classrooms. And while we can't always do that because of the layout of the buildings, we've been able to relocate 10 of them so far into storage closets or other non-instructional areas. Part three, wireless electronics, the hardware that provides the wireless network to our devices to connect to. We split this portion of the project out so that we can take advantage of federal E-rate funding again for this year. We're gearing up to start this project and plan to install over 800 wireless access points district-wide. When all the parts of this project are completed at all of our schools, our network infrastructure will be able to handle all of the network traffic we can throw at it today and for several years to come. We'll have the capacity and speed for today's high bandwidth applications, such as online meetings, streaming video, large file uploads and downloads, and have the ability to do all of this simultaneously on thousands of devices. User endpoints. Before the pandemic, our device to student ratio was between 2 and 3 to 1. This meant that our students had to share devices with each other. And sharing devices really isn't possible anymore because of the pandemic. Many families found themselves without a way to connect to our remote meetings due to lack of broadband at home or a good device that can run this type of software. If they already had a computer, they may not have had one for all of their students at home. More on this in a bit. So while we were getting these and other projects underway, the pandemic hit and put many of them behind schedule while also presenting us with a new set of challenges. Network connectivity outside of the district network. This was a challenge for many families because they may not have dedicated internet service at home or inadequate service. User endpoints or lack of, we did not have enough devices like laptops, Chromebooks, and iPads for all of our students or even staff to use at home. Remote meeting software, although we had access to Google Meet, some of its shortcomings didn't make it easy for teachers to use for remote instruction. So we purchased Zoom licenses for all of our staff to use. Increased reliance on technology. The pandemic forced us to heavily rely on technology to continue instruction and business operations. So this was our technology response to the pandemic. We deployed 13,254 new devices this school year. To help address the lack of internet connectivity at home for many of our families, we purchased and deployed cellular data hotspots. To help address the lack of devices for our students, the district's community partner, Genentech, donated $500,000 towards the purchase of Chromebooks. And we also purchased iPads for the younger students that can't type that well just yet. To help address the lack of remote meeting software, we partnered with Ed Services, who listened to our teachers' input and developed resources on how to use Google Meet, and also purchased Zoom licensing for our staff, teachers and administrators, as well as purchasing a good laptop for them to use. I am so thankful for the help we received from our colleagues at our schools who did the hard work of handing this equipment out to our students. I also want to acknowledge the generosity of Genentech and their community partners whose donation made a significant portion of this hardware purchase possible, and also to our hardware partners, T-Mobile, Apple, and Dell, who stepped up and were able to fulfill these orders for us at a time when every other district in our county, state, and country were trying to do the same thing. One thing to note is Dr. Moore brought to my attention a grant called Empowered ED 2.0, and after looking into this, we were able to apply and avail of this grant to pay for the hotspot hardware, which is valued at $328,500. And we also applied for and received California Teleconnect Fund discounts and applied that to our hotspots data service, which brought the total down on that service significantly, which is about 50%. Here's a chart with the number of network devices we've had through the years. You can see in 2013 we didn't have that many network connected devices, but in 2019 here's the inventory numbers that I had reported to you. And this is this year's numbers. You can see a significant increase across the board. Recent and current projects. Here's a short list of some of the projects we have going on right now or have recently completed. You can see they're grouped into the areas of focus we spoke about earlier. I'd like to acknowledge the hard work my team has done on these projects as well as others that we've recently completed or are working on right now. I'd also like to acknowledge my colleagues in other departments whose help with these projects and in general collaboration make the success of these projects possible. The projects we've completed have a check mark next to them, and the ones we're still working on have a cone. Department challenges. Looking down the road, we're still facing some challenges. Staffing, it has been difficult to recruit and retain qualified staff. We've been short-staffed since late 2020 due to either COVID issues or staff resignations. We've been working with HR to fill these positions and hope to have new team members on board soon. Bilingual tech support. We don't have any native Spanish speakers on the technology staff. And while I do my best, I can speak some Spanish. We have to rely on our colleagues at the schools for help. Standardization, continuing to move forward with standardizing hardware, software, and policies and procedures. Change is sometimes hard to accept, and many of the things we're dealing with now are totally new. We're providing staff with training. The Apple purchase includes training for staff and teachers. And IT is partnering with Ed Services and Human Resources to provide training resources and assist with training delivery. And the techs have also been able to take advantage of Apple training. Building systems, continuing to build systems to increase capacity and efficiency. This just takes time. We're in the process of filling the systems administrator position, which will also help. Fighting spam and ransomware. This is an ongoing battle. School districts across the nation manage and deal with sensitive information and are a target for hackers. I'll have a more detailed update on our response to the grand jury report on ransomware at an upcoming board meeting. We've updated our spam firewall, and it uses artificial intelligence to detect spam and phishing emails and has been working very well. Most of it no longer makes its way to our inboxes. We're also working on raising awareness of this issue with staff and providing them training so that they are less susceptible to fall for the hackers' tactics. And this concludes my report. Thank you. I'm happy to answer any questions.